Hi, everyone. Welcome to Source Snack Break. I am Ren with Source, and today is Thursday, July 23rd. Before we get started, I'll explain a couple things about the webinar tool that you're using. You're all muted automatically, but you do have access to the live chat there on the right, so you can pop in your favorite emoji to try it out. You can also use the live chat to ask any questions or comment, and we'll be sure we answer any questions that you have, so bring it on. We love those. We'll also send you a recording of the webinar after the presentation so you can reference it later or send it to a friend, whatever you need. And then let's get started. Today, our guest is Andrea with Anthology Woods. Hey, Andrea.
Hi, everybody.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then a little bit about Anthology as a company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with Anthology for about a year now, a little over a year. I was born and raised on the East Coast. My dad, he's a general contractor. So I have been on construction sites since I was a little girl. So it was kind of a natural thing for me to get into this industry as a professional. In the last 3 years, a little over 3 years, I have been working with architects, designers, and contractors. I started out in the appliance and plumbing fixtures industry. And then when I moved to Oregon, I transitioned into reclaim and sustainable woods. Having kind of that background really keeps me very well-rounded. So I really understand the needs and the wants and more so the pains of every trade in the industry. And everyone at Anthology Woods really understands that. We all have backgrounds in the wood industry, in construction, design. So we really focus on being able to make it a smooth transition throughout the entire project. So as it passes from designer to contractor. Anthology Woods, we're a reclaimed and sustainable woods company. We're based in Southern Oregon. We work with firms all over the country on both modest and large scale projects for residential and commercial. So we've done retail, hospitality, large national accounts like Whole Foods and Lululemon. We provide wood flooring, both solid and engineered, wood cladding, siding, decking, and then we can do custom fabrications. So stair packages, we can do custom tabletops, barn doors, you name it, we can pretty much make it for you.
Awesome. Is all of your product reclaimed?
The majority of our product is reclaimed. Yes. Our legacy oak is going to be one that is a new wood, but it is FSC certified.
I love that. Let's get into it. Can you talk a little bit about the various ways that designers can work with Anthology to create like really cool sort of wood environments?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing we like to do here is get involved really early on. So we want to talk to designers when they're in the design development phase. They're working off of inspiration photos, creating inspiration boards. So you can reach out to us either directly through me, the rep, or you can go on our website. We have a design samples tab where you can review our standard products. You can go onto that tab. You can either request one of those, or you can just kind of give us a little blurb about your project. We'll respond same day and really dive into what you're looking for and help create it for you.
I love that. So let's chat a little bit about your new product, or this product, ThinClad. What can you tell us about it, and how can designers use it in their projects?
Yeah, so we kind of created ThinClad. We were noticing kind of a market shift where reclaimed wood was being used in a lot of commercial applications, but we also needed a more affordable option. So we created ThinClad. What it is, it's a solid wood metal. It's 3/8 of an inch thick, and it can go up to 5 inches wide. It comes standard with a tongue and groove profile and a micro beveled edge. Like all of our products, you can customize the dimensions in the profile as well. And it's just a really great option for paneling for walls, for ceilings, and all interior applications.
Awesome. When it comes to selecting a profile, can you chat a little bit more about what a designer should keep in mind? What does that mean exactly, asking for a friend? What does that look like?
Yeah, so there's a couple different profiles. With some of our more rustic looking woods, you might want to go with just a square edge, and then you would face nail it. It has a lot to do with the installation of the product. The tongue and groove is great because you can install it with the hidden fasteners and adhesive, which is a standard install. So for contractors, it's great. It's really familiar. They're used to doing it. If you want to do something a little different, maybe you want to reveal, kind of change up the design. With our thicker material, you can have an 1/8 of an inch reveal, a 1/4 inch reveal, and it just kind of gives some more dimension to the wood.
Got it. So it's really about what sort of look and feel does a designer want to create with the wood is how you would decide what profile to take?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Okay. And so for ThinClad, is because it is thinner, does that mean it is maybe a little more budget friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. So our ThinClad, it's going to run between $6 to $8 a square foot unfinished, which is about 30 to 40% less than a standard 3/4 inch stock product. Almost all of our products will be available in the ThinClad collection for the interior applications. And when it comes to reclaimed material, it's nice because you can stretch the resource longer by going with a thinner product.
Oh, that makes sense. Can you talk a little bit about the different sort of species that a designer can get with ThinClad? And are there sort of certain things they should keep in mind when selecting a species based on if it's going on the floor or the wall or the ceiling? Are there like tips and tricks they should keep in mind?
Yeah, so ThinClad is only going to be suitable for wall applications.
Okay.
So essentially any species works great. You don't have to worry about heavy traffic and wearing down the wood. We offer the ThinClad in walnut, madrone, white oak. We offer it in redwood, fir. Pretty much all of our products are available in the ThinClad.
Nice. Can we chit chat a little bit about where you guys get your wood? Where does it come from?
Yeah, so almost all of our material is sourced in the United States, which in the current state of the world is a great thing. With sourcing kind of unknown right now and importing products, it's great that we have everything right here at home. And it's also wonderful for those projects that are going for LEED credits. So if you're looking to get a regionally sourced product, because we have such deep sourcing and all over the country, we can usually accommodate depending on where the project is.
Awesome. So can we chat a little bit about these questions that you get most from designers? Does it come in any other dimensions? Tell me a little bit about like changing dimensions and why would a designer would do that, like thin plank versus wide plank. What are you seeing in terms of trends there?
Yeah, so every project is going to be a little bit different. With the ThinClad, you can go up to the 5 inches wide. And then if you wanted to go wider than that, you absolutely could. You would just want to bump it up to that 3/4 inch thick material. But being able to take one material and carry it throughout a project is really important. The Milk Money project that we did, that was actually on the invitation to this webinar, that was one that we carried our left post white oak throughout the entire project. So they used our ThinClad as a budget option for the cladding to stay on track, but then they also wanted a custom bar top. So we were able to fab the bar top out of the same left post white oak. And then we can also carry that through to the flooring as well.
Got it. And when it comes to, if they're working with product that's not the ThinClad, can they also work with you to change the dimensions in terms of like the width and depth and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I always like to point out to designers. We do really great sample boxes that we can send to firms, and then you folks obviously have our samples to send out. And it's a great representation of the look of the product. But with wood, it's flexible. There's a lot of different options you can do with it, different dimensions. So it's just not possible to show it all. So if you like a look of something, it's really important to get us involved and kind of talk through your vision. That, again, is why we like to be involved so early on. So we can kind of let you know what is capable. With reclaimed wood, you do have some limitations in regards to dimensions because it is a material that's already been in use and we're repurposing it. But there is flexibility there. And because we have the option to do custom mill work, we can work with your dimensions for your project.
Awesome. And let's talk about finishes. What should designers keep in mind when it comes to finishes? How does that affect the performance of a wood? How does it affect the look of a wood? How, as a designer, I always felt really intimidated by the world of finishes. What should we keep in mind as designers?
Yeah, it can be confusing, right? Because you're working on a project, you have an idea in your mind, and maybe you go to our website and you're browsing through, and you might like the grain pattern of one type of wood, but the color of another. So the really cool thing with finishes is you can change the look of wood significantly. There's different processes, different formulas that we can do, and we can customize it to exactly what your project is calling for. When talking about kind of the basic finishes, our standard is going to be a polyurethane or an oil. The main differences between those two, a poly, you're going to think of that as more of like a plastic coating on top of the wood. So it's going to keep the natural color of the wood more so, but it's going to add an element of sheen. And you can go anywhere from a matte to a super glossy. When we get into the oils, that's where it's going to penetrate into the wood and it's going to darken. It's going to bring out more of those amber rich tones. Both are great options. Both have their pros and cons. It really is a matter of aesthetics and application.
Got it. And I feel like are the oil finishes are sort of like the original wood finish was the oil finishes, right?
The oil, yeah, a lot of people will go with oil. It's kind of standard. I personally love it for flooring, especially if you have little ones or heavy traffic or maybe animals for residential projects, things like that. It's just really great. You can recondition it over time and it'll last for years. And with the conditioning every year, every couple of years, you can really bring it back to life.
Awesome. That is great to know. Let's talk a little bit about this, which I think was really interesting, is that you wish designers knew that reclaimed doesn't have to mean rustic. Can you talk about like sort of the trends you're seeing with reclaimed wood and maybe veering away from the rustic look and more refined? I am hearing that from a lot of wood people. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, so we get a lot of people that when we say we're a reclaimed wood company, they think old barn and only old barn. But we do a lot more than that. When you think about wood, it's kind of a statement piece in a room. I mean, essentially, it's a piece of art. Everybody is drawn to it, they can connect with it. So art comes in many forms, right? Um, so when it comes to taking something old and making it look modern, I like to use the example of our bleachers. So we'll get loads of bleachers in. They come from gymnasiums all over the country. That's a great photo of them. And they come as reclaimed as you can get. So there's gum on the bottom, there's letters, numbers, little love notes from kids over the years. And we can actually take that material and scrape the gum off, which is what's in that jar, and then plane it down, and it becomes this beautiful, modern, clean material. I actually have two here, our pine and our fir. I don't know if you can see because it's kind of small.
Yeah.
But just super modern, clean. It works great for cladding. We had a local project that did it in their home and cladded the entire ceiling. So you can really change the aesthetic of the material just by planing it down.
Wow. Do the bleachers come in like, I don't know much about bleachers other than the fact that I had to sit on them as a child. But like, was there a standard wood species that bleachers like came in, or are they kind of a mix and match?
So for the most part, we're going to see pine and fir for the bleachers.
Okay. That's so funny. I don't think any of us sort of like thought to ourselves when we were sitting in the school assembly, like one day this could be cladding. So
right. And that's one of the great things about what we do here. It's something that we're all passionate about, that we can take something old that otherwise would have been turned into waste or burned or turned chipped. And we can really repurpose it into something beautiful, and to watch that process and see, to take your vision and create it, it's really rewarding.
Random question, what do y'all do with all the gum?
The gum. So the majority of it does get thrown away, but we did save some in a jar that we keep here in our office, just to kind of,
that's a little reminder.
Labor.
I love it. So do you also reclaim barnwood? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. On one of the first slides, there was a barn that was local. It was over in the Table Rock area of Oregon, that we had the property owner reach out to us. They were looking to tear it down. and we ran with the chance to use the material and repurpose it into something new. So that was a really great experience to have it be so local to our office. We were actually able to go on site. This was pre-COVID. And watch them deconstruct this barn. And what a cool process that is, right? So you get to see kind of it in its original form. Obviously, it's not in the best condition at that stage, but seeing them take the roof off, and then it's not as easy as you would think, taking down all of the beams and supporting it so that everyone's safe on the job. And we're actually going to be taking that material and putting it into our local co-op. So we'll see that go full circle here. So we got to find the barn, take it down, and then we'll see it in an installed application right down the street.
That's awesome. When it comes to reclaiming wood, like you talked about how the barn, the owner reached out to you, is that typically how it works? That someone's like, I have this old structure, I don't know what to do with it, but I want it to go away. Like, what is that sort of like balance of like, you saw something on the side of the road and it was really cool. Like, what does that process look like in terms of reclaiming? It sounds like there's a lot of like relationship building, understanding where that material is and comes from, and a lot of logistics that maybe we don't always think about as designers. Do you know much about that process? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I know a bit of it. Our sourcing department is more hands-on in that regard, but I think for local projects, and because where our office is located, we do have more opportunities than maybe some other companies in the reclaim business. They do tend to reach out to us, but then we also have to have our network, right? So our sourcing department does a great job building relationships with different people in the industry all over the country, and really building those relationships and continuing them so that we have deep sourcing. That is one thing that we do pride ourselves on, that we have the ability to have lasting sources. So a barn may only last so long, but because of our network, the material that you're specifying today is still going to be available, and we can provide it for you 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road when your project is actually going into construction.
That is a huge concern when it comes to reclaim, to make sure that source and what you showed your client is still the same, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I get that question all the time, because with commercial projects, it's such a long timeline. I mean, we have some projects that could be 4 or 5 years out. So it's super important to just make sure that you guys are successful and that your project is the end result that you're going for.
Awesome. And so you wanted to give us a little sneak peek of a new product. So you saw it here first, guys. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so this is a product. It's in new development. It is a end grain tongue and groove cladding product. Super excited about it. Again, it's still in the works, but what it's going to be, it's an end grain, basically wear layer on top of a birch substrate. It's going to be tongue and groove, so you'll install it the same way you would our regular cladding. It's an affordable option. Let me show you guys some other colors too. One thing I love about this is how much we can customize it. So you can essentially pick any color you want to really change up the look. So you can keep it funky with blue, or you can go with more neutral, natural tones with the wood. I just think it's going to be a great option for designers, but I also think contractors are going to love it. Installing end grain can be a complicated task. It looks beautiful when it's all done. So to be able to develop something that has an easy install is huge.
Will it still have some of the benefits of doing end grain, where it's like harder than doing normal? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's one of the reasons people specify end grain, is because they really want that hardness. So would this product have some of that, or not as much?
Yeah, it will be a hard material because it's still the same species of wood, but it's going to be for only cladding applications.
Got it.
So in that regard, the hardness of the material isn't as big of a deciding factor.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, designers. If you have any questions, or if you need samples immediately, you can reach out now. You can get samples on our site. Looks like somebody Oh, someone says, thank you for the technical data. We love talking technical stuff here at Snack Breaks because it really affects your spec. And sometimes I think designers need help with the technical aspects, but we're sometimes a little scared to ask because we don't know what to ask. And so at least that was the case for me as a designer. So that's awesome. And also designers, if you'd like to register for another Snack Break, we just released the schedule for next week. So smash that register now button. We'd be happy to have you again. In the meantime, Andrea, it was great to chat with you about wood. It's always so fun to hear about, especially when it involves bleachers and gum. But it was really great to chat with you, and I hope we can talk to you later again soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ren.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.